Yeah.
Jason's gonna be here too.
It's 9 o'clock. Go ahead and call to order the Fort Clark Springs Association board meeting for April 15th, 2023. And if we could all stand for a moment of silence. Thank you. Let's say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. I said I'm actually that bad for coming from a. Right. Has everybody a chance to look at the minutes?
Yes.
Do we have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the minutes. Second the motion.
All in favor? Secretary's report?
We have other minutes to approve.
Oh. Which one? Okay, it's
31st.
Sorry.
We just did the 25th, we have to do the 31st. Unless you did them both at once.
I didn't stay, so for the special meeting on the 31st, we'll have a motion.
Motion to approve minutes. Second.
All in favor? Secretary's report?
I have not received any correspondence.
Thank you. You ready for the treasurer's report, Linda?
I'm not sure, but we're gonna take a shot at it.
Okay.
Okay. March 31, 2023. Revenue for the Barracks Inn. 575 rooms rented for the month of March versus last month's 628 rooms. This month's income is $42,337. That's with a 50% occupancy rate. Last year for this month was $45,858. That's $3,521.80 less. That's 55% occupancy. So we lost a little bit of money, not a lot. Overall, the Fort's Motel is doing better than last year's in spite of no DPS. We were told DPS would be coming back, but that has not happened. Okay, revenue for the RV park. Income March 2022 was $20,183. Income for March 2023 was $34,185. We are up $14,000. This is due to the solar farm workers having moved in. They could be here for 2 more years. Hey, that's good news. Sale of lots. 9 lots sold so far in the first round of sales. Revenue, $33,450. 5 more lots are in the process to be sold to current members. Paid assessments collected. March 2023, $145,765.96. March of 22, $120,895.92. That's an increase of $24,870.04. Renee is doing a great job. Highlights of the expenses. Motel payroll, 10,000, under budget. RV park payroll, over 4,000, but then we made 14,000 more last month, so who cares? Security is 18,000 under budget. Maintenance is $22,000 under budget. Year to date, yes. Utilities, 2% under budget. As Mr. Peterson put it, we watch the expenses. Every little bit helps. And last but not least, in case there's any confusion, is the bar. We made last month $772.52. Total cash on hand as of 3/31/2023 is $503,067.60. Last month's cash on hand was $484,255.87. That has us ahead by $18,841.73. Overall, it was a good month. You like that much information? I want to do what the people want to hear. If you don't, or if you have something you think needs to be added as well, please let me know. I'll be happy to do it. I'm done. So yours. Thank you.
Excuse me, Linda, or Mr. Peterson, are the numbers you just stated reflected on the paperwork in the back? So anybody can check it for themselves?
Yep,
Okay.
they can find it. Google.
Actually,
Thank you.
what's at the front desk is much more detailed.
They don't want me to read the whole thing. They keep it up. All right. You have one?
The assessments reflect basically 1,785 active memberships. As she said, March is an unusual year because unusual month because last year we had a very large amount of conference going to Fort Clark days, which also knocked out 3 weeks worth of revenue with DPS. So this March looks good compared to last March, but we lost a lot of revenue. In March of last year, we lost a lot of revenue for DPS because we could not take them. So we had already lost that. Our average rate was a little bit better. It was this is more of an accurate March than what we'll have from here on out. Wow. For the last year, DPS started skewed the numbers up a little bit. Our accounting, I have a Teams meeting with our new accounting firm on Thursday, which I think will finalize all of our last month, and then it will go to the auditors. They seem to have a good handle on what they're doing. Golf, there are areas that are always going to lose money for us right now. One is going to be our recreation department. The other one is going to be golf. Of course, security and maintenance never make revenue, but their expenses are pretty much consistent. Our golf group has really done a lot of repair work for the equipment we have. If you've noticed, they've actually cleaned up the shed and almost everything around it. This 2 weeks ago or a week ago, it's Monday, they verticut the greens, which pulled off a lot of, this is horticulture stuff, thatch off these greens, and it's allowing the grass to grow much better. The golf committee has bought a aerator, which is the exact same aerator we have, but it's used. Between the two of them, we may be able to establish a good aerator that works. That model hadn't been built in 15 years, so hopefully we can get one up and works. The maintenance right now, if this is the time of year everything starts growing, obviously. So we're going to have a lag of about 1 month where we get into our cycle of cutting grass and everything else. Right now, we have sprayed all the roads with basically it's glyphosate, which is Roundup. And so your curbs are being cleaned up right now. You'll see that, the maintenance crew is cleaning up the curbs, getting all the grass off the curbs. We're getting unit one cleaned up a little bit more. Unit one's a little upset, but if you look at unit one, you have 60-foot palm trees, and out of all the ones that we have there, 10 of them are dead. You know, it's just a matter of those things have been here forever. They never made it out of the freeze and the drought, so we have 10 60-foot trees to cut down. So that's gonna be a major thing in that area. The county has a grant that they're putting license plate readers around the county. One of them, which will be put at our entrance at the guard shack down here. That's probably a good thing for us as far as security, and that's coming from the county. I have one that I have to say. The one area I need help in, and that's something that whether we want to do a committee, a task force, and whatever, it's now time to try to put a marketing group together and trying to work on our website. I think we can get some decent pictures taken now. Things are greening up, and try to put something together that we can develop our website. Whether I have volunteers that can help us do it, put the pages together, contact Julie. We'll try to get a group together that can work on this. So I know we have a good photographer too, so we'll work on that. That's it.
On our website, are we able to update it at the moment, or
I think you did. Yeah,
because we need the minutes and stuff, right?
yeah, we know.
Oh, okay.
Down at the time that I actually gave it to them, but I had not, followed it with that, so I need to do.
What is the status of the radios and the antenna?
We're probably gonna put the antenna and the repeater in the adult center. And we'll try to get the radios in. We'll find out.
Is there a timetable? Because it's been going on since January.
No, it's been going on once, it's longer than that.
Oh, but we had the radios.
It went on since the first time we asked for bids and that they sent the radios back, so now we're having to
No, but the antenna should have been up already since January. That's what I'm asking.
no,
No what?
the antenna shouldn't have been up. That's sort of,
I have the email here that says it was gonna be up the week of January the 18th.
we thought that.
Okay. Is there any way we can, and I asked you before, is there any way we can get a refund?
We hadn't paid anything.
So where's
We
the,
stopped that 2 years ago.
where's the antenna?
The antenna hadn't been bought.
Well, then how,
We have not paid for anything yet.
well, my question is, the antenna was gonna be put up on the week of January the 18th.
Right.
So I
They were
assumed
not
at that
paying for it.
time, like the rest of us, that the antenna was here to be put up. And it was gonna be put up at the tower.
It is here, but we're not gonna put it on the tower.
Okay,
We have
well,
one person that's been doing this. Our working relationship has been damaged, so we're gonna have to go somewhere else.
okay, thank you. So then is that gonna be put up this month?
It won't be put up on the tower, no,
Or the adult center?
don't know, I'll find that out in the next couple of weeks.
Committee reports. Airport committee? No report? Architecture committee?
Good morning. Since the board's last meeting, we have approved 3 construction permit applications, tabled 2 until the person can attend our meeting, and reviewed 1 blue form. We have worked on creating a simpler, clearer permit application and should have that ready to go very soon. We're making changes to the repair form, which we encourage anyone making any repairs or like-for-like changes, fill out and turn in a blue form to help us know who is coming on the fort in the way of contractors, and that people are aware they have a permit when anyone sees work being done. The blue form or the red construction form need to be posted on the front of any building where work is being done. We've adjusted our fine schedule for working without a permit and for violations to CCRs and rules and regulations to be stronger, and have had the first public reading of the changes. We will have the second reading this Tuesday and will vote on the changes. We have sent out 5 violation letters and are working with the owners to resolve problems with their property in an attempt to follow the CCRs, which state we are in the best interest of Fort Clark Springs, the Fort Clark Springs Association, and each of its members, that property and the improvements thereon be continually maintained and improved so as to at all times be complementary to and compatible with its environment. Respectfully submitted, Francis Bitter.
Francis,
Yes.
I want to really congratulate the architect committee on the changes. Y'all are doing a great job.
Thank you. We have a lot more to go.
Thank you, Fran. Let's golf.
We'll go golf. Am I close enough to the mic?
No.
Okay. All right, golf committee. They met on March 27th to discuss scholarships for BISD seniors. Forms and qualifications for the 2 $1,000 scholarships have been provided to the school district. The committee also locked in dates for upcoming tournaments, the next one being the Cajun Bash, which is set for May 6th. This tournament is always lots of fun with great food. All proceeds from this tournament are for the benefit of the golf course. We encourage golfers of all skill levels to play. This is your course. Let's take care of it. The golf committee had parts made for the greens puncher. I think that's the aerator, at the cost of $500. They also spent $1,700 for a used greens puncher, identical to the one we already have. This will enable the golf course maintenance department to have parts available to keep our current puncher in operating condition. Respectfully submitted, Katie Brown.
Preservation.
Again, I just wanted to let you know that we have a number here for preservation. It's 34880.
Okay, can I pick up? Well,
Oh, you said you gave it to you.
really?
Did you pick it up at the front desk?
Oh, I didn't know it was at the front desk.
Yeah,
I was
there's a
gonna pick it up.
Okay,
Okay, I'll
just so you know,
pick it up.
it's there.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning. We've researched and found the correct light sockets for the post theater marquee. Turned out to be a little bit of a job. 140 have been found, ordered, and received by our contractor. 140 more have been found in a different warehouse and should arrive shortly. I have in my possession 300 bulbs, 280 for the marquee, and 20 spares. Edison 1 to 2 watt bulbs like these are fairly easy to find. So if we need to make changes in the future, it's not going to be a major difficult thing to do. The east, south, and west doors are currently being sanded and painted on a separate repair proposal. The marquee lighting panels must be repaired, painted, and mounted in place before sockets, wiring, and bulbs can be installed. That's a little change from our original plans. A dimmer switch will be added so that warm white bulbs can be controlled. This is just a precautionary thing. I don't know what these things are going to look like. These new LED bulbs, kind of a whole different ballgame. The last thing that we'll do will be put the new roof on with correct drainage on an almost completely new marquee. So bear with me. I know it's taking a lot of patience.
No, I appreciate all the work y'all are doing.
It's like building a little small house over again, you know, almost. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Recycling? Oh, did
It's
you?
recycling, I got Lane on it. Says I'm learning about gun safety, but here's the report. Nothing like scheduling at the same time. I wrote 2 progress reports to the Coca-Cola and Texas recycling grants. Joe and I met Zoe Killian, the new Keep Texas Recycling Director. She gave the fort a certificate for 2022 recycling. We await the electrician before we order the baler. Our old forklift had another oil leak, but thankfully Philip fixed it. We need to fill another 5 boxes to ship out stuff. Come on, folks, please recycle to keep it from going into the landfill. Thank you.
Last question, respiration project?
Yes, we see. Okay. Lots Morris, this is from Chris Hale. The final sidewalk repair was completed and soil and grass replaced. Bathroom renovation is about to begin, as well as planter box stone repair. We're working on identifying optimum alternatives for 3 things. 1, improved disability access. 2, dark sky friendly solar lighting for the vintage poolside light poles. Revision to the apparatus for emptying the pool so as to eliminate the pipe that obstructs the sidewalk. And that's from Chris Hale.
Community council.
Missing recreation. Did we get
Oh, I'm
anything from
sorry.
recreation? No report.
Oh.
Community Council is proud to report that the proceeds from Fort Clark Days enabled us to have $4,000 in reserve for Fort Clark Days 2024. An additional $3,000. We have chosen to give $2,000 of that to preservation, as we did last year. And the extra $1,000 will also go into reserves or whatever we need. We did make a decision on a change to the adult center toilet bathroom center situation since we don't have access to the building. We had agreed to spend up to $2,000 for that repair. And since we don't know when the access to the building will happen, we voted to change that, move that $2,000 over to repairing the commissary bathrooms. And we wanted to make sure that everyone knew that we still will honor the community council commitment to the adult center bathrooms, but we just thought it was better to spend the money now on something that was vital. Okay, and I'd like to have Francis or Christine do a Fort Clark Days final. Thanks.
Okay, so to sum up, past Fort Clark Days, we did bring in around roughly $21,000, and then after expenses, we will clear right at $7,000. So that people are interested in the numbers. So now that that's over, we are looking forward to Fort Clark Days for next year. We are not having our regular meetings yet. They'll start again in the fall, but we are in planning stages. A lot of our committee chairs are continuing, but we are looking for a food vendor chair. So if anybody loves food and would like to join our team, we would love to have you. I think that's all for now.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Just for clarification, Fort Clark Days made 21,000
Before expenses, yes,
before expenses. Oh, okay, so then there was $14,000 in expenses. There's only 7,000 to start up for next year.
for next year.
That's just startup money. And-
4,000. 4,000 for startup, because 2,000 is gonna go to
So
preservation.
then she said there was 7,000.
Well, that was, yeah, I didn't have those.
Okay, I was just with
So I-
So out of the 7, there's 2 that went over to preservation or community council. Okay, thank you.
All right, old unfinished business, the board, a board committee to research and advise on the process for changing or altering historic or common property. So let me bring that up. At the last board meeting, there was some confusion about the, resolutions that were made in 2014 and 2017. And those resolutions are for the Preservation Committee to do the exterior of the building and not the interiors of the building. So what we're looking at is for all other changes, alterations, whether common property, historical, to come up with a process. So now I've lost my notes, but a process to, we have a process for everybody in there, that has their home, to have a permit, to, follow the guidelines, and yet with our common property, we don't really have anything set, so, and we change GMs, we change boards, but the membership stays the same, and I would like to see us, move to where we have a process so that those that are affected are included, whether it's historical, common property, if it affects a specific unit. So I would like to create a committee, or I don't know all, but I would like for us to create a committee to come up with a process. It would be an ad hoc committee, which means it would just be to create a process that would then be brought to the board for us to either change or, agree to. And then that committee would be disbanded after that. Does anybody have any comments, questions?
I think in order for specifically the historical properties, that we should have an ad hoc committee to help us set up a process to follow before any work is done on specifically common property and historical properties.
I would agree with that memo. I think, the community needs to follow this. It needs to be as similar to this document as possible. And, these two documents, these two resolutions, and, no offense, Mr. Peterson, but whatever GM is in charge, we can't hold members accountable for their historical changes and not hold the GM responsible for his historical changes. If he's gonna make decisions based off of a means that, the means and methods need to be regulated, and he has to pitch his same change to the historical committee as a member would, because it's all owned by members. So it needs to follow these documents as close as possible, with exceptions of words that say common property and stuff like that. I mean, it shouldn't be this overwhelming burden on the membership to have an ad hoc committee that establishes something. We're literally talking about just changing some of the verbiage in these documents. Anything?
So you'd develop a new resolution from a third one.
Yes, that
It's supersedes.
specifically states, because these don't state common property, right? Because these documents are for members changing their historical properties.
These documents are for the Preservation Committee that only deals with the exterior of certain historical buildings. That part of our assessments go into that
Okay.
preservation fund. And they're specific to
There's
those,
like 6 buildings.
like 6 buildings, yes.
Yeah.
And this would be everything from
Else.
Glen Park.
In
everything else.
addition, that would be considered historical.
Yes, because they don't deal with the interior like of the Post Theater or the commissary or anything like that. It's all exterior.
So what you're suggesting is that we have a whole new resolution. It would be 2023-01 with regard to that.
Yes. I initially, was thinking if we had a committee that would look into that with, Historical Society, 2 historical, 2, preservation, so that we get a good look at what all, to make sure if we're gonna make a resolution, that we have
And
all
how,
bases covered.
how are we defining historical? Because it's kind of changed in the past few months. Well, now we're looking at the Brown and Root period, and then after that, there's another period when things were done So now suddenly they are historic, which was not the way it was when these were developed.
Well, the ad hoc committee would be the people to determine that and bring it to us and list it out.
To suggest.
I think one of the things that needs to be in there has to be very clear, if there's even any doubt whatsoever that maybe it's historical, to check first in abundance of caution before anything is proceeded with.
Well, and preservation itself is the reason, part of the reason, and correct me if I'm wrong, is we have tax exempt, or we have for those buildings, so the exterior has to be kept up in an appropriate manner, which is why that is completely separate. The rest that is not considered part of that historical, my understanding, and when I talked to some of the historical society, we have 3 eras. We have from the historical fort, we have the Brown and Root days, and then we have when we were established as a fort. Now, those aren't like historical like that,
So the last two are relatively new.
relatively since 1950.
71.
Well, one did
No, but I'm saying,
26.
I'm saying referring to them as a historical periods, that's a relatively
Yes.
new period. And that's fine, I don't have a problem with that, but I just wanna be up to speed with what you guys are talking about.
Right. So like if we look at the part 3, if we take it back to the military, then it goes back to the parade grounds. Or Brown and Root put in the golf, T-boats, the golf, the part 3, or moving forward. So then the question is, if we're gonna take it back to something, repair it, change it, then we have, we need to look, do we wanna take it all the way back to the parade grounds? Or are we gonna keep the part 3? But if you're gonna do that, then you have to look at how do we maintain it? Do we have the money and the funds to do that? Just those kind of things. So anytime we are gonna make changes like that, it's kind of like the bridge, the walking bridge. That was a memorial thing that was put in, in 1980, 83 or something, down near Unit 1, or the
Oh,
Staples,
the wooden one.
the wooden one.
Yeah.
And that was a great, wonderful thing, but was there at that point any decision on, is that something we can maintain? Well, obviously not, because it has fallen. So going forward, it would be great if we had within the policies, that kind of thing where we think about, it's like, okay, if we're gonna change something on the property, is it beneficial to the members? Is it sustainable? Is it affordable? Or are we restoring what it was originally? I mean, it's kind of it's a big question, and I think we've been very lucky so far that things have stayed fairly maintained, but it would be better if we had a more comprehensive plan.
I think and I believe strongly that this would provide cover for Mr. Peterson or any future GM in regarding to this issue.
And the board.
And I can tell you, coming here, the hardest part was trying to figure out just exactly who's in charge of what, especially with the preservation, historical, Fort Clark committees, everything like that. It's very hard to piece together from anybody coming in from the outside. So yes, something needs to be decided somewhere. But you have areas that are without a doubt historical, that are not even your airport hangar. It's not even on our radar as being historical, and it's one of the more historical things on the port. These things need to be addressed.
Who's gonna prepare the resolution?
Well, I guess the question is, do we prepare a resolution, or do we create an ad hoc committee to look at it and give their input on preservation, historical?
Well, they can prepare a draft. We can ask them to.
If we don't
prepare
like
a
it, we start over again.
Right.
Oh, we can,
Yeah.
yeah. If need be, we're gonna come soon.
Because there's a lot of knowledge that's in those committees. And then, somebody from architecture, because they've already really worked on their processes, and could be input on that also.
We have a workshop
Definitely.
to review.
Definitely.
Any,
I would ask what action has been taken on the 2014 and then the the rescinded 2014 that became the 2017, how much action has been on those policy resolutions? Has anything come of those? And why are we creating a new one?
Those resolutions are the preservation.
I know they're preservation, but what has been done with those resolutions as a membership, as admin, as a board, to follow what the resolution said, have two of this committee, two of this, two of that? What's been done? Has anything been done with those committees, or is it just another committee that was formed that just went by the wayside that's sitting in the file room?
But it's not. Agenda.
Can I speak to that?
Yes, please.
There's been quite a bit done actually, and what's been done is, there's been a formal, I don't know when it came about, procedure came about for the control mainly of the monies. And it's a protection for me, it's a protection for the board, it's a protection for Alan.
Okay,
And
that answers
the
my
amount
question.
of money, I can propose doing repair work on the outside of these 6 buildings we're talking about, for starters. But then after that, actually I have to put in forms for approval, and I have to make a brief description of what I'm gonna do. And this is a control on me running, keep me from running off to Cancun somewhere with the money. But it's in reality, it's a lot done, and it's a protection for Alan, for the fort, and for me, actually.
And to answer the tax issue, we get a survey by the county historical on all 6 of those buildings with all the checklists. If we're in the green and we get it taken care of, then as long as I file the forms, we get basically, I think the most is 25% tax deduction. According to what the range is, if it's green, yellow, whatever. It can go in different steps. Right now, we're pretty much 20 to 25% on all 6 buildings.
That answers my question.
But there is a situation, there's no accident that we picked, that I picked, and we're in the committee, because they picked the theater. Because the theater was wrong with her to get a
Yeah, it
credit,
was there.
which means no tax cut for the fort. So, we're guided, at least partially, by that situation you just talked about.
Who's inspecting the buildings now? Because,
Well,
well, I know Katy County, but it's not Mrs. Herman anymore, is it?
Yeah.
I think it's Becky Moore.
Yeah. Okay.
Shouldn't the Texas Historical Commission be involved in this? Because they come every so often and look around.
Yeah, we can include them for sure.
There are a lot of buildings we have that can get historical markers. One in particular is the commissary. You can't, because of the windows. Yeah. But that was before. Maybe there's something we can do now. Because our tax assessment on the commissary just went up 25%. And I don't know why. I have not protested that yet, but
Just so that I'm clear, Lisa, we're talking about, I want to be really clear because at the beginning of this, I didn't quite know what's going on. I'm getting it. But see, the resolution, what you're saying is establish a committee, an ad hoc committee, in order to identify what we want to define as common property, historical property, and then a process for that to be changed in the real property that the fort owns, but not create a new board. We would apply those findings and those principles back to this committee.
No, because they are completely separate.
Well, would you pick one committee or? I mean,
At this, I don't, if we have a good resolution, I don't think we need a committee.
the
So-
committees uphold the resolution.
But-
As a joint member,
For preservation,
yes,
yes.
yes,
But
okay.
for the new resolution to deal with anything outside of their purview would be to have this process. So if Alan is like, hey, we wanna do this, then it goes into the process of, being looked at from the historical angle, and then eventually it comes to the board to make the decision.
Awesome, yeah. Sounds very good.
Is there any other questions?
So we're gonna prepare a new resolution, not make a new committee.
We'll make an ad hoc committee to help prepare to create that
Okay,
process.
the
that
resolution. Okay, okay. You don't need a resolution to create an ad hoc committee.
Right. Yeah, no, they're gonna help with the resolution.
Right, and I think the point here is that preservation is exterior, this committee would be interior of historic buildings and common property.
Right, yeah.
Right, so if you're going to involve preservation in this ad hoc committee, you're aware that they only do exterior. So
Yeah, it would only be for their expertise with historical buildings
Right,
and stuff.
because
to
that
create.
seems to like float back and forth about the purpose of preservation, so this is not the interior of our building, exterior and common property.
And it would exclude regular maintenance, repair, that's just part of the GM's, responsibility.
You say you're gonna draw from different committees for their expertise, right?
Yes,
Okay, I would suggest, just a suggestion, make sure when you go to vote, make sure they understand their role and have something written out with all your stuff. This is what we're looking for, what we want to achieve. And that way everybody knows their place in the position, what they're doing, what they're contributing, and what you're asking.
yes, and I did have something written out, but somehow I don't think I printed it out. Which is, but, yes, definitely, because, yeah, we need a path for that. Is there any other questions?
Are you gonna get historical markers on all of these buildings that you want to declare historical?
Well, we're not, at this point, looking at what we can declare historical. We're looking at a process and identifying what is historical already.
That's what I'm saying, you have to have a building or land or whatever you're saying in mind as far as what you're gonna aim at to become historic. Like Mr. Peterson said, the airport, it may be an historical building, but it's not marked as an historical building.
Right, but it was,
Historical in Fort Clark, Springs, mine.
but it would still fall under the same process because we're looking at both common property and historical for this process.
Can we, well, this is just a stupid question, but can we get markers that aren't necessarily from Texas Historical Society, since they're like $2,700 a piece? You can buy markers that look historical, and you could put them on the rest of the buildings,
Yeah, just because
just
it's
to
not,
notify the public as they're driving around.
just because it's not federal or state doesn't mean that you can't decide that in Fort Clark days, it's historical.
I've seen them elsewhere, that's why I asked.
Right.
Because they are so expensive, everybody kind of
The bunkers is a prime example. There's an explanation out there. We would consider that
yeah,
historical.
and people would stop and read
Yeah.
that, it's just more for them to look at.
Those are information markers.
Yeah,
Okay, I but you know,
That would be sort of the,
yeah,
okay, this is historical for us. It's not gonna
But
get
they're
it taxed.
yeah, I mean, the price of the other ones. So that would be cool.
Yes,
We could have that. We could get on that.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And, yeah. Lost my train of thought there.
Sorry.
No, it's not your fault. Do we have a motion? Or what,
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
to create?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to create an ad hoc committee to develop a process to identify what we consider to be historical and common property that will be overseen by both of the committees, the Preservation and Historical Committee on Fort Clark.
And to research markers.
Well, once they define those.
Right.
those,
Then
we can, then you could put a tally on what you want.
Okay.
Should we mention the 6 people to historical preservation members?
That would be up to the ad hoc committee to figure
Yeah,
out
Well,
what it's
actually, the
gonna look
board
like.
can appoint who
Yep,
they,
we need
who they
to
want.
make up there.
We can discuss that.
I second the motion Made by Mr. Wiley.
All in favor? All right, discussion item, the landfill. Mr. Peterson, can I ask you to kind of lead and give us an update on all that?
Our landfill, okay, we're using basically two sets. After looking at them and measuring, we're well within our height limit. We probably have a minimum of a year's worth of use over what's there right now. Both of the bids that we have for constructing additional cells are right at between $200,000 to $250,000. We probably have between 6 months to a year and a half that we can easily use what we're doing now. What we will be doing is, our biggest problem not using that is the fact that our equipment can't make it up the hill. So, without being pushed by our bulldozer. So, what we are doing in the meantime is, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to reestablish a much lower pitched slope so that we can use the equipment we have. The very first cell, which is the one that's on the farthest west, which is the highest area, it is right at 1,135 altitude. Our cell can go up to 1,146. So we still can go up 10 to 11 feet on different areas. The reason it is not level is because when they started these cells, they did not have the proper equipment. So when they would fill one area, it was supposed to go here, just basically equal up. But as you know, each level, the density factor of each load is obviously different. So then when they didn't have the equipment to pack it, then they would bog down. So they would only use the area where they could get to. So therefore, when we're looking at an area that's 1,135, the one right next to it can be 1,140. A little bit over is 1,120. What we want to do now is basically take the first cell, which is the first 4 cells on the west side, put them to the level that we can use. We will even that up. We'll get it set at 1,146. Then we have to cap it off with 2 feet. Then that cell will be closed. Then we can, and at the same time, we'll be excavating the other, which is not the scope of work I originally talked to the other contractors. Actually works out a little bit better for us, but I feel like we have at least a year and a half. what we're
On
doing
those
now.
4 cells?
On what we're using right now. So we've cleaned out the area that will be for the next 2 cells. And it's just a matter of, okay, let's use what we have. We've got that cleaned up, keep it down, and then work out. And I would say we need to come up with some kind of proposal or something in the next 6 months and get that started.
Are we doing the ramp ourselves?
Yeah, we'll do the ramp
So
ourselves.
there are no outside contractors regarding that?
We did contract out with Blake Ward to clear off what was there because he was the one that was here. And he got it cleaned out where the next one goes. And we'll keep that cut down so that when we start, we'll start from fresh.
Now, you mentioned that you think we have about 6 months to a year. Is that
Oh, I think we have at least a year and a half.
is that a self-determination? Did you determine that, or do we have a landfill specialist engineer determine that for us
No, I determined it.
on your own assessment?
My own assessment. And you look at, we got 10 feet more we can go up. That's a lot. Especially right now, our usage is a lot less. So I think we're in pretty good shape there because that's just the first set. We still have the other one. We're still filling up. We have at least 20 feet there.
Is there an inspection process for capping?
There will be, yes. Capping is estimated a little over $50,000, but that's contracting it out. A lot of it we can probably do ourselves. It's a matter of where we, get the fill and what we have to purchase. And that's just something we work on the next year, year and a half.
Can you explain a little bit is there a, like I don't know how the cells work. I don't know how they fit. Is there a compacting process also?
The equipment itself should do the compacting. The problem was when they first started it, they had a very, very undersized bulldozer that did not compact the way it should have. Now, this is what I've been told. This was 2008, I think, was when they instituted everything. And then they got a heavier bulldozer, we have a heavier truck, so it's compacting better. Now, I don't know what happened between 2008 and 2013 to 15.
But we do have the equipment.
We do have it. It's running now, yes.
Question.
In the absence of Helena, I just want to say if people would really get serious about recycling, we have cut our garbage in half by recycling. And people complain all the time about how much money the sport is spending on this and spending on that. They can put their part into that recycling and keeping it out of it.
That's a very good point.
How big is a cell?
That's it.
300 and, I think it's 360 feet long, something like that. But I'm not sure exactly. It's pretty good length. It's 2 sets.
And is this something that the environmental have to check out the cell no matter where it is?
It's all inspected by TCEQ. We are the lowest grade landfill there is. In other words, we are the least dangerous as far as toxic waste or anything else, so that we have less regulation in ours. We do test for methane quarterly, but we have always come out as a 0 as far as methane in that cell. In other words, there's nothing decomposing in there at all.
Thank you.
Yes.
Compost, we tried it years ago. I think we picked the wrong place. If you compost, number one, you need water. That means you've got to get it someplace close to the golf course. Number two, you don't have to drive a truck around down the roads and one to the dump. You can take it locally. And the golf course can use some black dirt as long as people want to plant gardens and grass in that. I don't know why that isn't brought up again and maybe looked at. Because we have an abundant amount of weeds that we collect and haul them out for the landfill. They take up a lot of room. We have a lot of brush that with a piece of proper equipment, the brush and the leaves they could be run through and somewhat cut up before they go into their compost. All you need then is water, and you need to turn it periodically, maybe once or twice a year with a can water. Some places a long thermometer where you can measure the heat. This was all done many years ago, and I noticed the blackbird was produced, it's all disappeared. Somebody enjoyed it. Unfortunately, it didn't go to the golf course. Just as a thought, I see truckloads of weeds and dirt.
I would love to see compost starting again. That's why we started taking all the horse manure out to the recycling center, and actually took some of our dirt off the par 3 out there so we can start that. That does have water there. That does have power there. It just doesn't have manpower out there. So if we get volunteers, there's not anything keeping us from putting water out to it and starting that. But that's going to be something that needs to be a membership-driven volunteer effort. Start something like that.
I just want to say that the reason that this is on the agenda and it's also in the executive session is, and we should have prefaced all of this conversation with this, is to, obviously you're here and you care about the fort, and this is going to be a significant expense to the fort in a year and a half. No ifs, ands, or buts. It's $250,000 bill, we'll
It's
call
the,
it.
it's the major thing that's
Yes.
hanging over us. right
We, as a board, do not want to blindside the membership, and especially the people in here that are demanding these answers. So that's the reason we're having this discussion now, so that everybody knows what's going on, and that in executive session, we'll be talking about some of the contractual stuff, trying to figure out what the parameters are of what we have to do, what we're gonna do. And that way we can come back and tell y'all, hey, look, this could be $220,000. We got to figure out how to pay for it. Okay. So that people just don't get upset about it. So that's the reason we're having this discussion, in case there was any clarity issues.
For informational purposes and for the membership, if we were to have to pay for it today, do we have the funds now to pay for it?
We have the funds, I wouldn't recommend it.
So that we would have to raise money via special assessment?
Yes,
Thank you.
I have another question, I'm sorry, I'm always a little bit late. What is the city of Brackville doing with their stuff?
they're hauling it off in containers.
Really?
Yes,
People to San Antonio? Mexico?
I think they're going to Hondo or either Eagle Pass, I'm not sure.
Thank you.
We did have a contract with them at one time, but in 2015, it was stopped because it was filling up our landfill too fast. But that was because of the fact that it wasn't being compacted correctly. So if we get a new one, it's still, and we've talked to the city regarding taking over theirs and charging them. But we need to get our thing straight first before we negotiate.
That definitely came to mind right when you said that. Is there an opportunity for us
Yes,
to expand even larger into more sales and then charge the city of Brackville?
we have 3 more or 6 more cells available that are already been plotted, so yes.
How many have we filled up?
Well,
In how, what amount of time?
actually, there are 32 cells. We have filled up, or we are working with 8. You cannot start another one until you cap another one off. So we still have 24 left that we can develop. If this started in 2008, that was 15 years ago, you still have a year and a half left with the first 8.
The first 8 took 15 years roughly to fill.
For their own stuff.
And, you know, we still have a year and a half left, Bob. So that's not, we still have quite a lot of area. You probably, if you took in theirs, you probably still have 30 years worth of stuff you can work with.
Well, and the 8 cells we have, if we had had the appropriate equipment and procedures, could we have possibly gotten 20?
I have no idea. I don't think so, because I think over a period of time, we've now compacted that as much as it's going to compact. It's just what that was the situation at that time.
Darn.
Uh,
A few years AI.
Yeah,
That little Josh is gonna pick it up. All right, let's move on to architectural committee violation number 5. Chris, do you have?
That would be the committee, not me.
I
I have a copy of what they did.
Do we have a copy of the file?
You should.
Oh. Really, I think, we have this on here. Well, it's happened last week. I don't know why. Yeah. I think maybe one of the reasons, if I think about it hard enough, was, just to have it out so that the membership sees something other than a dispatch, that some of the violations are going to change. With it on the agenda, we have it out here so that, the fines are, and,
I can speak from the workshop area of it. I've been working with the architectural committee. This was originally put on the agenda because at that point, they had not decided that they were going to read it 2 or 3 times in their meetings. as the official, so this is kind of a process in the works. So that is why it's on the agenda, that's
Oh,
the
okay.
only reason. And
All right.
Francis can speak to that better than I can.
Now we know they're going up. You want me to address it? I'll be happy. If you would like to, yes.
The schedule that we are not just proposing, but has passed by our committee and we're having a public readings on is if you have a violation against the CCRs or the rules and regs, we will send you a violation letter explaining to you with the paragraphs drawn from the CCNRs telling you exactly why you are in violation. You have 45 days to correct the problem or come in and let us know that you're working on the problem. If nothing is done in that 45-day period, then you'll get a second letter and a $250 fine. If that doesn't take care of the situation, you have 45 days, and then you'll get a fine violation for $500. And it just keeps going up until we have the maximum of $1,500. But we've rarely seen step 2 even take place. Most people, when they get a violation letter, they take care of the problem, or they come in and talk to us about it. So that's what we're. Thank you.
Francis, hold on one question.
Uh-huh.
Is there before the first letter, does Matt go by and say, hey, look, this is what's happening?
No.
No?
He will go by and see and take pictures, bring it to the architect committee, and we decide whether or not we need to send a violation letter, and we just send
So
a
nothing
letter,
in
and then
verbal?
they have 45 days.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Are we making any headway getting some of these properties cleaned up?
We are. It's just a lot.
I think we're gonna make some headway.
And also what we have done, we've had issues of people building without a permit, not getting their permit application in. And so when we find that situation, that's gonna be a $250 fine.
Or misrepresentation.
I'm sorry,
Or misrepresentation.
or misrepresentation of their permit. We've had that happen too. They tell us they're gonna do one thing, and then when we go out and look, they've done something different. So that will also be a $250 fine.
Okay, thank you. All right, sale of lots. First, let's see, we have too many things in my.
I know a little bit.
Go for it.
You got one.
9 lots. That's what I have in my report here.
Correct.
We sold 9 lots. We made $33,450. We have 5 more that are under contract to, now we're into the members are buying it, not just adjacent members. I don't have any where they are with that. And then, of course, are we into the section now where anybody can buy it off the street?
I think so.
Yeah. So, but it's, it's generating income, and the ones buying them are happy, and the more we can sell, the better.
And that was another part of the discussion I wanted to bring up, because now that we're into the open part, we still have, how many lots?
57.
57. To have a discussion on how we might want to move forward with marketing it. Maybe coming up with a way to take it off of the office using realtors.
The problems, they cost money.
So we've kind of discussed some of the, obviously,
Options.
thoughts of options of doing this. Mr. Peterson and his employees have a lot of burden on them. My thought would be that we were gonna offer, and anybody correct me if I'm wrong, 10% off for members, 25% off for adjacent lots to a member lot. Right.
5, 10.
Obviously, the total revenue of these 57 lots is, we'll call it 450,000 if we're lucky.
Yeah.
About right. I think that we should get any realtor that is interested in doing this, that they get all 57 lots and they give us a proposal of how they are going to market it. So if, Realtor A gives us a proposal and it's the only one we get, then we sign a 6-month contract with them. And we approve what they're going to do, but we do not give them a 3 or 6% commission. It's not enough money. We're gonna have to be in the 10 to 15% range, which is the same amount that we were giving a member to buy it as a discount. And that will give them enough budget and give us enough clarity as a board to say, okay, this is what they're gonna do to advertise it. I'm not for signs being all over the fort. I think if one person is in control of this, then they can have a sheet, and as customers call them for sale, they can say, I know which ones are for sale, and they lead that, lead that effort to do that. As the fort, we still have the opportunity and the responsibility to attempt to sell them, and as the owner, we can do that, so we can have something in the office that has pins on it, these are still for sale, and as people come in, they can do that, but the major effort would be driven by a realtor that we assign all the lots to, and we don't have that burden. Julie, whoever in the office, we don't have that burden.
I agree.
And we just pay somebody to do it. That will take them off the tax rolls for us. That will get them generating revenue, and we will get some money in our pocket, which obviously we need coming with the projects that we have coming up.
Now, you said approximately 450,000.
I'm just ballparking it. I'm gonna say we're in that ballpark, an
And then
average
what
of
is the
6,000 fees.
What's the percentage to the realtor?
We would have to agree on that, obviously, but 10 to
10%
15%.
is standard,
Yeah.
at least.
So that would be 45,000?
And I mean, for the amount of work, you gotta think, selling 57 lots, 47,000 is not that much money.
So you're.
And they're not, let's be real, they're not all gonna sell.
Right, but you're.
They're just not.
So you're looking to clear about 400,000.
So you got it at 434 on the sheet. I think it'd be extremely unrealistic to say that all of these lots sell. They're not gonna sell. If we got 70% of them sell, it would be amazing. So, we could definitely have a discussion, but I just don't think there's any world where we sell every single lot in one, effort in 6 months.
I will agree.
And the big thing that we're looking at too is we want the assessments, we want the, people here, we want, that's something that goes on and on and on, and I'd rather see us, give a 10%, at least 10% commission, so that they're sold, and that increases our assessments and our revenue.
What is the more or less tax burden on us for those lots right now?
Well, that's just changed.
Yeah,
Just more or less.
We don't know, we haven't set a rate yet.
No, but last year, just
Yeah.
in a ballpark figure.
well, our taxes are 120 something thousand and everything. I would have to go look at the
Okay.
spreadsheet. I got the information on all the lots that are raised, what they did increase in our taxes, or what the valuation is. We have some lots that went up 1,000, 1,100%, that are not even functioning lots. So there are a lot of protests we have to file. That's that. The state is also doing something
Yeah.
that we have to wait and find out there. There are just a lot of,
The rate may not be available until September, October.
correct, and like the commissary value was $200,000 last year. This year it went up to $250,000. Okay, what did we do? I have no idea. Lots that are on Sunset, which are not performing lots, were at $300. They are now valued at $3,500. Now, you tell me why, I have no idea. These are things that are coming across, and I've got the spreadsheet, I've been tracking the last 3 years of everything we have. Now, what range there are, the Never Land lots that are raised at $300, they get taxed $5.15 a year. So we just have to wait and see.
So just something talking about that and about taxes. We're probably not helping ourselves. I'm not saying there's any other way to do this,
Right.
but having the prices that we have on here helps the tax office see what we think they're worth, and then they're gonna come on the backside and say, well, if you think they're worth that much and you're trying to sell them for that much, this is what we're gonna
But
tax
the
you.
market value is what they sell for, not
You're
for
right.
what we think
You're
they're
right, I'm
worth.
just saying that may be some of the reason it's going up.
Right. Oh, I think it is. There's no doubt about that.
They're using our data against us.
Correct.
Yes, because my lot, I got my paperwork, and my lot was 3,500, and the next to me was valued at 3,500, and now they're valued at 6,000 apiece.
Yeah.
So
But,
even if you
but
don't,
when you bought yours, you didn't buy it at that, so it couldn't go up above what you purchased it for. That's the
but
whole thing.
what
You get that
I've been
25%.
told is I got a discount, so that doesn't count.
Why would they, how would they know? I mean, that's the market value of what it's
Yeah,
sold for.
closing documents, I think, have the ability to set tax rate.
Right.
So,
In the meantime, is it for Plan B? I'm all for the idea. I think it's a great idea. Are we capable as an office to print out a map, put an X by the lots that we own, and attach a price list on them so that anybody can go into the office, not even bother anybody? It says real estate on a table, they grab a paper and they walk out. Can we do that in the meantime until, because I'm not sure, we don't know if any realtor's gonna jump at this.
Pretty much. I think we can. It's gonna take a while to, yeah, our mapping system's not the best. Yeah.
Well, don't we have a large one in the,
We have a large one, but
Yeah.
that's, I have maps of every one of the units. So yes, it can be done.
but we could just put it on the big one, I suppose, with pins, and then the list.
Yeah.
That,
That's
somebody could visually come in.
And so that we don't have to go out and show them if it could
The
be
biggest thing is trying to find them
a
without, because nothing's marked.
something like a blue or a red little flag that says, if you drive through here, you'll see red flags.
Most of our lots we have are in 27. And you're not gonna be able to find where they are without somebody tracking them down. Unless we go out and mark them, which we need to do.
So we can do that before, while we're anticipating a potential contract, if we decide to go down that route. I mean, that could start immediately, like Monday, possibly.
You're not gonna get contract
No.
through everybody
The
there.
paperwork, the paperwork prepared, hopefully by this week, so that people can go in there and get it without having to talk to anybody.
I'm not gonna commit to doing things that fast, but we can get it started, yeah.
Thank you.
I think I'd like to go back to John's idea, the original idea that he came up with. Let's get a realtor involved. Let's pay a realtor to handle this and take this off the office staff to handle this.
I'm not in disagreement, this is just making some copies and making them available to whoever may want them at this time, as we're waiting for a realtor to come forward.
Well, I think any realtor is going to want this deal
Oh.
as soon as we ask. And so when are you going to ask the realtor? Monday?
we just have to talk about the process.
Yeah.
They would know it better than I do, but I would just think that we're not talking about 30 realtors. We send an email to all the realtors in town and say we're accepting a proposal for anybody that would like to do this, dispatch out.
It'd be an exclusive listing.
Yeah, and then you do it for an exclusive listing of the 57 lots for sale, and this is your proposed commission. And are you interested? And if so, how would you market these? And submit a proposal to us, which we can review prior to the next meeting, if we can get proposals back fast enough. Yeah, and we can email load it, and we can get this show on the road and be done. Yeah.
I think we get email with the contract maybe, but if we're going to do that commission, that probably, I don't know if that falls under. Whether we have to do that in open. So, I mean, I guess we could vote on that here regardless of who we get.
My concern is like this week, have something available, because we're still selling those lots. Right now, it's all been by word of mouth and dispatch. It's just what
I agree.
it's just what it is right now.
Even with a proposal in place, it's still our obligation as the owners to try to facilitate the selling of the lots, no matter what. So I agree with you 100%.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Lisa, I have a question. Okay, is 27 by the airport or is 27 around by the golf course?
Both.
All
over the place.
That's the unit with the most lots for sale.
Yes,
It's,
because it's the largest unit that we have.
everything west of the Gulf. Basically.
So down Fort Clark Road on the right,
Fairway Circle,
Fairway Circle,
Eagle Way.
How many lots are vacant now?
57.
In that area?
No,
All over.
they're all over.
They're unpurchased, not vacant.
We have lots of unit 3.
There's probably 50.
Holy smokes.
No, it doesn't.
That's okay. There are not too many spaces anymore.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
I think there are over 500 units in 27.
That's in the further development behind the airport.
Yeah,
building.
so, it's,
Make a motion?
Do we need to make a motion, or do we put it out there, and then if we get a contract, then we vote on it?
Uh,
I guess
Well, we,
make a motion.
no, we can make a motion.
I think you make a motion to open it up to bids from
Yeah.
realtors.
Well, and do we need to discuss further on the,
That would be their proposal to you, whether they want a 10, 15, or 20%
Yeah,
commission.
I think that will give us a pulse on what people want,
Right.
or what we, just what we have available for the realtors to actually say, this is worth my time.
And then you will have to vote on, okay, accepting
Yeah.
the bid.
And then that'll go into contract negotiations and we can take care of that.
so do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion for for us to put out a dispatch to receive proposals for the selling of the 57 lots on Fort Clark.
Only a dispatch?
Whatever formal matter that way we have to do that, I don't know.
They'll get it out.
Will that get it up?
And we
Okay,
can reach.
as long as
reach
it
out
will get
to
up.
individually also.
I mean, there's only 5 or 6 realtors.
I second the motion.
I would even put it in the paper.
Is there any,
Papers.
Wanda? Good.
is there any further questions?
She seconded the motion.
Yeah,
I second.
so I was to, right. So all in favor? It's unanimous. Swim park,
Fun stuff.
the swim park. The money from the grants, has been dispersed. I'm not sure if everybody's heard that from the T-Mobile. And the, restoration, the Lost Morris Restoration Committee would want to commence work on the bathrooms. And I was gonna give a quick, overview of the work that they're looking to do. They're phase 1, and they're hoping to start this within the next 10 days. And the cost is approximately $15,000 out of the 50. They want to support the existing roof. The phase 1 is the women's restroom. Demolish the existing wood walls, removing existing lavatories, commodes, and stalls, constructing new cement block walls on the same floor plan as the old walls, install metal exterior door, paint all interior walls, install new lavatory commodes, construct new stalls and interior privacy walls, and paint the floor gray. All the stalls and the sinks are gonna be handicap accessible. In the women's room, they're going from 3 restrooms to 2 to make one of them handicap. And also be putting in a bench, so you can actually use it to change in. The exterior walls are to be painted in the 1929 FCSA color scheme. They also want to extend the water behind the wall into the barbecue area, the pavilion, and put a hand washing sink in there, because the plumbing is right there, so it'll be nothing to do that. And then phase 2 would be to do the same as the above with the men's restroom as the women's. And then phase 3, back where the changing room are, they want to gut all of that out, leave the roof, and then do a study on whether what we do with that, whether put back changing rooms or seating area, picnic tables in the shade. Let's see, they're shooting for a completion date by Memorial Weekend, which is great if we have water.
There's one omission that they took out,
What's
and
that?
it needs to be put back in. fans are needed in those dressing rooms or in the bathrooms.
Okay,
And they took the fans out just because they have an open ceiling. That still will not be enough to give airflow.
To give airflow.
Because there are no windows. It's only a door. You still need to have the fans in.
And while the metal doors may have some lead time, so the person that contracted to do, the stonework, will start working on the, flower planters and working on those while we're waiting for the doors to come in, so we don't lose them when they start to work on the bathroom.
That's Jose.
Yeah.
Do you have a copy of the proposed, do we have a copy of the proposed improvements?
No budget or anything.
And no budget.
No budget, no budget.
But it's there.
We reached out yesterday to Chris, and he wasn't,
They're paying for it.
well, I
Yeah, I
understand,
talked
but we
to-
should know as a board, what are you're fixing our asset. Or I should say, they are fixing our asset, and don't you think we should have a copy of the contract and what it's gonna cost?
And the original grant application says FCSA's role in this, including the Historical Society, but the fort and the board has a role in this. And we're in the dark.
I mean, just being, I've actually spoken with,
It
not
is-
Chris, Tim Ward, and he is bidding on it, but Tim Ward is on the Los Morris, restoration, and so am I, and I haven't seen it either, so it would be nice if some of the other people could see it in the board, so we're all on the same page.
See
The
bid.
proposal and the bids and what,
Well, the proposal is in your,
yeah, I see this.
The two contractors that they contacted would not bid.
right, so
So
they're,
they have,
so
they
they're
have to
piecing-
basically sub it out themselves.
they're subbing it out themselves.
Isn't Jose one of Mr. Ward's contractors?
Yes.
Okay.
Chris, just for clarification, what is our role other than oversight?
It's our asset.
Even if it's just
I mean,
oversight,
in
no,
the
even
grant.
if it's just oversight, that the grant says, the application says, it's on my phone, but I'm not supposed to use my phone. It says FCSA has oversight, FCSA has oversight. Historical Society has to report to FCSA
It's more
because they have
quality
oversight.
control.
We're not seeing anything. It's kind
By
of.
the restrooms historical?
By the Historical Society is kind of keeping it under wraps. No, but, we have oversight. That doesn't mean we have to say you do this, 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 and this, but we have oversight on it.
Right, but are the restrooms historical?
If they're here more than 20 minutes, they're historical.
As soon as the meeting's over, we can get an email. I'm sure we can have Mr. Hell, can send us an email regarding that. And we don't have to approve it at this moment.
I don't have a problem with approving it if we can get the paperwork that we'd like to.
So what, I guess I'm,
We have the original grant application.
right, and I know Ms. Hale has spoken with with T-Mobile. And he can send that if that is,
Okay.
you've got it, and I've got it. That they are allowed to shift funds within that, depending
saw
on the
that.
contracting and that type of thing.
But what funds are they shifting?
Well,
Well,
my issue is if they
That's
build,
not-
if they build something, what am I gonna have to go back in and fix? And
So,
that's why
But I
I
think.
put the fans in there,
Sure,
because,
and you need to have it, you need to have
That
input
was
and you need to have your construction expertise. there.
because in the men's restroom, there's not a urinal there, because they're gonna have to open up the wall and find the plumbing. I don't see that as part of the proposal.
When I was laying grass with Russell, he explained to me that, the issue with the urinal, it's gonna be, there's gonna be two toilets
I know.
and no urinal because that's gonna be the handicap bathroom. And the reason I found that out was because I was up there volunteering with him.
I think maybe take it a couple steps at a time here and just say, one step at a time, and say, okay, does anybody as a board do, other than maybe some slight discrepancies, do we disagree with what's going on?
I don't think we disagree. It just needs to be clarified.
And I don't disagree with that, but I'm just saying, let's take it one step at a time. So we don't disagree that this is going to happen and we're okay with it happening. So now we gotta say, do we believe at this point that any funds are being misused? Because if they're not being misused, and with Mr. Peterson's input, then the bill's the bill at the end of the day. You can send me a proposal all day, but if something changes, you're gonna hit me with a change order. So it doesn't matter what we do, as long as we're okay, then we are having that oversight. We're saying we trust these people to do a good job. We're willing to, obviously, it's just what they believe it's to be within budget. He said about $18,000, or I think
13.
18. And
The building is
13,
originally
I think.
only was around 13.5.
I think he said 13. I told him I thought it would be more like $18,000 to $20,000.
Right, yes.
So we're still within our budget that we have allotted for this. Let's just not make it a big deal, and we agree on this part of it. Even if they invoice us later, we still know a ballpark sum, and we can just request from them, hey, give us a little bit more information on paper so that we can increase our oversight.
John, for clarity, this is, you talk about budget, it's not our budget, it's the T-Mobile budget.
Yes, no, I understand.
It's not membership money, this is money that
Right.
was, thank you to T-Mobile and the people who worked to get the grant. The bathroom restoration is not gonna cost the membership one penny.
Yeah, so let's not make it complicated. We agree that this needs to be done. Mr. Peterson needs to have some input into it and oversight. And the bill is the bill at the end of the day.
That's all I'm saying.
So does that mean we, have access to some of this information?
I think so. I think we can request that as it comes in. Russell, you need to give us this information as it comes in. And that way we continue our obligation to make sure we're upholding our responsibilities for the grant. But beyond that, it's not our money necessarily to spend,
No,
it's
we
our
agree.
money to have influence over.
Exactly.
We agree, with it, but we'd like to know what's going on with the bathroom, which we own.
Yes, I agree,
Yeah.
100%.
And that's what the grant application says.
Yes.
Because it's a Fort Clark Springs Association property.
Yeah.
We have oversight over the project.
I just didn't want it to go into a realm of, okay, we have to have a bid before anything starts.
No,
because I
no,
just
no,
don't
no,
think
no,
that's-
I don't believe, no,
Yeah.
we don't need that. I'm just saying we need oversight
Gotcha.
and that information is being kept close to the vest.
I don't think that's
President.
intentional. I don't
There's
think
a
it's
trust factor involved, and I'm gonna go with this now. There is a rumor out there that I approved the removal of 17 trees from Russell to someone. It's a rumor. I did not approve the removal of 17 trees. There is a trust factor with what Russell is doing. We need to see oversight. That's all.
Okay. Let's just say diligent about it.
That's it. Diligence.
And then make sure that,
Yeah.
I would just say as a directive, just make sure that you're in communication with Russell and that he understands like, hey, we need to have bands, we need to do this, you know.
Well, there are certain confusing things on exactly how things are gonna get done. Because it goes from contracting all of a sudden to 3 contractors. Nothing in there is who's gonna tear it down.
That was a volunteer,
We-
I understood as a volunteer.
I haven't heard that because originally I was consulted on that, and as of right now, I don't know if it's supposed to be my staff or somebody else's staff. That's sort of one of those things I have to know. So, the scope of work has changed. Originally, the roof was supposed to go straight across. I don't think that's part of the scope anymore. So things are changing, and I'm not sure why.
Well,
Yeah,
to
not
Chris's
for now, they wanted to.
we gotta have clarity. Obviously, before things happen, we have to have clarity.
Due diligence.
Exactly. That is it.
Otherwise, we're in the dark.
Because I asked for that information last night, or yesterday afternoon from Chris Hill, he didn't give it to me. So I thought, whoa, I think
The monies,
no, the money, the plans, whatever, it's all in the historical society's purview and, no. So we're just looking for clarity, that's all.
That's good.
Inform him of the grant specifications, so we have oversight.
Yeah.
Perhaps he's forgotten that.
so what they're looking for, can we go ahead and approve that they can move forward, but that we want
Yes.
more details?
They need the approval so they can order the doors. That's the first thing they need.
Mr. Peterson, are you,
I'm fine.
okay?
Is there any questions? No?
I would just like to say thank you very much for Travis and Anna.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is a big deal for us. Please back that up.
I'm super excited, yeah, that happened so that we can, I don't know what to
Now,
do with the new bathroom.
Can we hire some Indian people who can dance around and get us some water?
Little rain dance.
Last night.
No, come on. We have people here who can do it.
Yeah. Well then, do we have a motion?
One question, if I may, I'm sorry.
One more question.
That is in the historical district, is it not? Pool area?
No,
No.
I've heard it was, I've heard it said it is
Yeah.
by Chris. So,
Well, the only question I'm asking, the reason I'm asking is it's in historical district, the plaque or whatever you call it, have any say as to what you do?
The state. It would be the state, wouldn't it?
No, it's federal,
it's federal.
federal.
well, the Historical Society has always worked within those guidelines.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the ones that have been the gatekeeper for all things historical, sometimes to our frustration. I mean, you know, because we want to do what we want to do.
No, I'm just asking, I don't know, because the government, because they classified it as a historical district, put any restrictions on it.
Do you know exactly what was there before?
I don't know.
In my working with historical districts, that would not apply to this situation.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That's fine, I'm not even
Yeah.
writing, I'm just kind of, I'm curious, because, you know, you start screwing around with government, historical stuff.
Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So,
Approve pending.
I'll make a motion to approve the plan as we know it right now with clarification
In writing.
in writing prior to the commencement of construction.
I second.
all in favor? All right. We're halfway there. This should go quicker. Agenda item number 1 is the marquee logo. And we have got that in our packet.
We have 3 different logos.
3 different.
on choice. But you-
We got.
We got 2, but the original one is the
The center of
the
that.
center of that.
So
And what is up there now?
This is
the
the
one
one that's up there now.
No, that one right there is up there now.
This
This is right here. This is
With
what's
the-
up there now.
Where?
On the
On the
marquee.
On the marquee.
at the front of the.
Oh,
And this was a 1971 20th anniversary, 1996.
this is the one that Joey did.
Yes, but this is what's up there now. Then you have the original one, which is Fort Clark, and then you have the one that was adopted later.
Where
Which
is
one's
up
inaccurate?
front? Where, I don't
What's
understand.
It's inaccurate.
That's why I adopted, because I'm going,
1852
there's
was
a
before it was
lot of,
established, but Fort
they're
Clark
not-
County was established in 71.
correct.
And even though it's a beautiful logo, it's not accurate.
It's not accurate.
So tell me one more time. Where is this up front?
That's what's on the logo, on the marquee now, on both sides.
The one that we're
Yeah.
fixing.
You have Fort Clark Springs, and then you have that logo on both sides.
It's small.
It's small.
Yes.
Well, I didn't do it either until I went down there and I was gonna order, and I'll go, whoa, we got a problem. So,
But this is the original.
that is the
Center
original.
piece.
That's the one I prefer.
I have that one.
It's accurate. If I can get the, actually, there's one in the building above.
Yes,
Yes, that's what I would prefer to see.
Just this inside part.
yes, just the inside part is
No
the
dates.
original logo.
No dates.
So, just can you catch me speed? I don't know, what are we solving?
Just,
We're gonna use these on the on the bulletin board, on each corner, there'll be this stamp.
Authentic, because it was taught we're repairing it.
Correct.
So,
And so we're voting on this,
No,
whether
that's
it's
the whole
just.
thing.
Just the
It's-
yeah.
Just the center.
Yeah.
the original.
I understand.
Is that the same logo that's on the wall out front coming in?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
same,
So that whole area will have the original logo.
correct.
Okay, I was just gonna give you a little history, because the change in the logo to the bright red, white, and blue one was basically for marketing purposes, advertising.
This one?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And, advertising and that type of thing. And the date at the bottom was necessarily meant to match Fort Clark Springs, but it was put in there to establish the port. Okay, doesn't necessarily have to, wasn't meant to match the title. And the reason that was done is because the original logo, even if you look at it, the outline of Texas isn't even accurate. And it was so squished in
That's terrible.
and rough that, it was a bad logo to use to advertise the port, because it's really difficult to pick out exactly what that is.
It's before global warming.
So that's, I was just giving you some history, that's why we went with, so on the board at the time, with the new logo, because it was more contemporary, it was attractive, the red, white, and blue was symbolic, and the old label was just really actually pretty roughly drawn. And
Maybe
when
we
started
want to
looking-
just make a accurate Texas on the old logo.
The science people
And
can
with-
fix that. The science people can fix that.
With new graphics,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that can be done. We can use the old logo and fix it.
clean up the
Texas.
Yeah, that one is. That's why I don't know why the rest of them aren't.
Yeah, and the other reason was because when the logo for advertising purposes is simpler, speaks out right away, whereas this one, and even the original that you have right there, you have to actually look at it to see what it is. When you're looking for
Yeah, because I
something.
cannot find anything with any of our logos that have PMS colors or anything else set up.
EMS.
PMS
What's
is,
PMS color?
that is your.
Your graphic
that's your
colors.
graphic colors. Sorry about the letters, but that's what they are.
That's what I'm saying, red, white, and blue is
That is.
PMS.
Pantone.
Matches, yes.
So why don't this?
The other question is, are any of these logos registered anywhere? We
not that
don't
can
know.
find, yeah.
Are we gonna do the
They
established?
need to
So-
be,
They need to be,
yes.
even the old ones. And then if we fix this one, making it look sharper, cleaner, using the old logo, then that one has to be registered also.
Okay, question, are we going to add to the bottom of this established 1852?
What if,
I'm just asking.
what if we take the center of this logo and just put, I mean, if you want to put two dates, you could put 1971 here in the open space.
Fort Clark Springs was not established in 1852.
Right.
No,
Clark
Fort
was
Clark.
established in 1852.
And this is Springs,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
you're right,
I would leave it clean with no
okay.
no extra verbiage, no numbers, no nothing, just have a nice looking, clean logo.
We probably need to come up with 3 or 4 different.
And then that you can have marketing that
Additional
shows
life,
when
yeah.
things happened and whatever.
This one. Okay, if you'll notice the stationery and stuff, yeah, it's the new logo
Yes,
and the old logo.
yes.
And we'll probably have problems.
We need,
It should, the intent was to show our development
Hence the
from one
marketing.
to the other.
we need a marketing group to look at our branding and website and
And our
all
marketing,
this.
marketing companies did recommend that we change our logo for marketing purposes, because our original logo was not really, didn't have enough bounce.
A zing.
to it.
But I
Well,
mean,
so,
from,
the purpose,
but from a historical, being a historical community, and being in such a historical place, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with this for certain instances, but the old logo cleaned up with, the state of Texas cleaned up in good colors.
Looks good.
I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it holds our values true, I mean, it is what it is.
Right.
Will the signs now people be able to at least fix a sign and put the logos on last? Because it seems like it might delay the whole process of getting that thing fixed.
Well, they might be able to clean it up.
They'll be able to clean it up.
They,
Okay.
they've probably got the digital capacity.
Yes.
So we're gonna wait another 30 days, or you want them to do it?
No, it's just a matter when we go back to the original.
Well, does anybody want to make some motion on it? Go for it.
I'll make a motion to take the original logo and make the state of Texas accurate and apply what, the colors, what'd you say?
It's red and black.
No, actually, like in the one you have has blue in it too.
Apply the proper colors
Proper,
to the
yeah.
logo.
Yeah.
To the old logo.
To the
Yes, ma'am.
I'll second that. All in favor? I forgot to ask if there was any, if we got our discussion.
Nobody has, y'all weren't mad, so.
We were advanced, right? All right, number 2 is the ISD, Bracket ISD, project graduation donation. That was in our packets also. And it's so that. Yes, 2018, we, gave 25 to the Bracket PTO, and in 2021, we donated 100 for the graduation speaker. And they are asking for either monetary or other. Is that correct? I guess my first question is, I don't remember, do you have a charitable budget?
It's all enough, but we done it anyway.
We do rules.
Rules? It's for graduation?
Well, they have a special guest coming in. Speak
Oh.
whatever else. They said money or whatever.
Well, that's it.
Did you have,
What'd you do in the past?
It's like we're doing with we gave 500 to the
Sponsor team.
livestock FFA, things like that. That's been pretty standard.
Maybe the same amount.
And they're looking for, money for entertainment, food for the graduation night, and prizes, decorations, paper goods, things like that.
Tell them they can come shoot next year.
How about the graduation party at the thing? You did that not too long back. That was pretty cool. Except for the people trying to sleep over there. Remember they had them over, they had a,
oh, at Creekside.
yeah.
Was that graduation or prom?
Oh, it might have been prom. I can't
Okay.
remember that far back.
$250.
Really?
You gotta account for inflation.
Life pays for that.
There's no inflation. What?
It's probably the senior.
So, are we uncomfortable with saying 500?
It's 36 graduates.
And
I would-
just because I'm new to this, and I actually never was involved in Fort Clark days when I was a kid, but knowing a bunch of high school kids out in Fort Clark days,
Yeah.
and then they are the same kids that are graduating,
Actually, they did.
And those kids live on the fort.
yeah.
So are you saying Fort Clark they should donate?
That was quick.
I think we should donate something.
I do as well.
I make a motion that we donate $500 to the BISD.
I second that motion.
All in favor? Okay, here's the tough one. The agenda item is to approve the March meeting absence for Secretary Chris Race. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Right,
I abstain because it's about me.
I don't know. Thank you.
okay. So do we have, I have an announcement for the Wandering Cat Golf Tournament, which is next Saturday. It's gonna be fun. Does anybody else have any
announced.
The garden club will be having a plant sale on May 13th, which is Mother's Day weekend, Saturday. And it'll be actually at the foundation yard, but we say across from the service club. 10 to 2.
We add to the agenda to start getting a report from the Eclipse Committee.
Yeah, that's actually gonna come on next month, yeah.
Oh, so you moved it from this month?
Well, it didn't end up on here, so.
So you don't have an update on it?
No. I was just gonna add it to the committee reports, but we don't have a prepared, or they don't have it prepared.
Okay.
So, any,
I have an announcement. I have a couple. First of all, I'd like to give a special thanks to Russell Knoll and all the volunteers. I noticed some of them are here that prepared the grounds for the new grass at the pool. It was very successful, and again, we saved the board a lot of time and money in doing that work, spreading the dirt and laying the grass. Number two, a big shout out to the RV Park volunteers. They worked really hard. I participated in numerous breakfasts over there. I know Steve Fox starts his day at 5:30 in the morning to start preparing the foods out there for the members, anybody who wants to attend, and a lot of that money comes back to the board via the RV Park. And special thanks to members, the Massengills. They cleaned out with their own machinery and their own time. Our baseball park has been in desperate need since I've lived here since 2004. My understanding, they took out a tractor, they leveled it out, removed a bunch of cactus so the kids could practice. This is the beautiful part of Fort Clark Springs, the membership, their volunteer spirit, and they're not waiting around for anybody to help them or do anything. They're just doing it. It was good because the kids are now able to go out there and practice. And thank you so much to all the volunteers. This is just a small part of them. And I'm hoping that we can continue to maintain the volunteer spirit here at Fort Clark Springs. Thank you.
Is that the base on Sunset?
Yeah. No, the one over there by the activity, the rec center.
any other news?
Yeah. I just wanted to say that, it didn't make it on here, but I didn't want anybody to think that we weren't taking the pool being closed very seriously. We've all somewhat discussed this, and, we do have some plans in the works. I don't know if any of them will pan out, but it is, an extremely high priority for us to get, the pool situation figured out and sustainable.
Who discussed that?
We just had, there's no discussion, just there is
That's
some
fine.
plans in
That's
place.
fine. That's fine.
Anything else? We will adjourn to executive session. It's 10:47.
Clint, special thanks to Clint and Christine for filming and streaming. Y'all been streaming the meeting, correct?